Hello everyone, welcome to the Whistling Hermit's One Card Spread series. This video series is primarily intended for learning how to read the tarot. However, you can also use this as a card reading for the day. This is a timeless reading, so if you are watching this now, its message might be for you. For this series, we will be using the giant Rider Waite Tarot deck from the US Games Systems Incorporated. We will also be using the booklet of the Tarot of A.E. Waite from AGM Urania. The first part of the video will be a descriptive study of a specific card in the tarot. We will describe what we see and the insights and feelings we gather from what we see. The first part is characterized by spontaneity. We allow the cards to speak to us regardless of the generally accepted meaning of the card. By doing this, we hope to increase our intuitive capacity for reading the tarot cards. In the second part, we will be reading the description of the card taken from the booklet of the Tarot of A.E. Waite by AGM Urania. If you intend to use this as a timeless reading, you can randomly choose any card in the series that resonates with you. An alternative approach is to shuffle a Rider Waite card deck and pick a card randomly. You can then choose the card in the video series that corresponds to the card you picked. Note that this series is a work in progress, and it might take some time for the 78 cards to be completely read. If you want to navigate directly to a certain part of the video, such as Part 1 or Part 2, I have provided timestamps in the description accompanying this video. Just click on the link to the video segment you wish to go. So, without any further delay, let us proceed to the card for the day. Well, hello everyone. For those who have been watching this one card spread series, welcome back. For those who are watching it for the first time, welcome to this channel. Just before we start, I would just like to inform you, like for example, if you would like to skip from the introduction to to part 1 or to part 2, just take note that in the description portion of each videos, there is a timestamp. So if you want to go to part 1, you just click on the timestamp that is part 1, and then you'll go straight to part 1. That goes for part 2 and also the introduction. It facilitates your watching of the video. Now we go to the card of the day. The card of the day is number 4 in the Major Arcana, which is the Emperor. So this is quite interesting. When you look at it, no? The way the Emperor looks, he's like looking sideways, no? As if he is discerning things. He's not looking at things as they are. I mean, he looks at things as if with a grain of salt. Like, for example, there is he there is a discerning part in him. He studies closely whatever is being presented to him, which is quite good for a ruler, no? A ruler doesn't just decide spontaneously, but studies things carefully, weighs things closely before he makes a decision. Uh, there is also a long beard, no? Long beard usually symbolizes wisdom, no? And at the same time, no, a wisdom of years, no, wisdom that is gathered through many years of experience, and also the white hair. The crown is very simple but golden, and shows his regality, his kingship. And at the same time, you look at the scepter. The scepter actually is a symbol of the Egyptian god of life. He's named Ankh, Ankh. No, so somehow it's for me makes me feel that the king also has the power to decide, no, who decide over death and life, something like that, no. Uh, yeah, I remember the one in the queen in the Alice in Wonderland. Off with our heads, something like that. And then he has a round thing here on his hand. It's they say it's an orb. An orb. Some say it's a globe. No, they say it symbolizes the universe. No, but when I look at it, I think also it's like a crystal ball, which somehow in his discernment he also has journeys into his inner self. No, with the orb he would look into it and somehow he would open it's the orb becomes a portal so that he can get in touch with his inner self and with the divine, no? uh, when you look at it, his throne is made of stone, no? And there are skulls here with the horns, no? Skulls of they say it's the symbol of Aries and also the symbol of Mars, which are very very masculine, no? And when you look at it now, it's very very solid. The throne is very very solid and is quite uncomfortable. You don't see any cushions in it, in contrast to the empress who has a lot of cushions, no? uh, in fact, no, when you look at it, no, even here it's very solid, and behind him it's a little bit barren, no? It's like mountains that are I don't know if there is ice in it, but there's you don't see trees in the mountains. And yes, this is the river that I referred to in the Empress, wherein there's a waterfalls in the Empress going to this river. And you look at it, the river seems to be a little smaller, less than what you see in the Empress, which shows abundance in the Empress. Here it's a little bit less, no? Water can symbolize our emotions, so the king seems to have more control of his emotions. He's less expressive of his emotions, and subconscious also, the water symbolizes the subconscious mind, you know. Maybe he is more of an intellectual, more concerned with the outside concerns of life, but still there's a part of him that goes inside of him, you know. There's still a part of contemplation, but a greater part maybe is the demands of his office, you know. They say that the emperor is a symbolism of fathership, of being a father, no? Fatherhood, fatherhood. And we try to think of it, no? If you look at our father figure, no, they have to be strong, they have to be discerning, they have to decide for many things in the family, they have to be a provider, no? And at the same time, they have to be a protector. When you look at also this king, no? Underneath his royal garb, which is red, and red is a symbolism of strength, of power, of dynamism, of this is a very very strong color that is very masculine, more of the animus. But underneath it you see armor, So it's not just immediately skin under the clothes, no. There is armor, so he is protected, so nobody can immediately harm him. He has sort of like a protection, and for me it's like he's one who knows how to establish boundaries, you know. And nobody can immediately approach him, nobody can immediately harm him. He has a lot of protection, you know. And so there he is also a master of boundaries. He knows how to protect himself. And yeah, the sky is red again, shows power or something very strong. Red is a color of power. And, and the way he sits, no, and the way he holds the scepter, and there's a certain sign of stability, a little rigid, and at the same time there's a certain stability that he can spring immediately into, like stand up and show his power, no. So there is also like the one that we saw in the Two of Wands, no. When you look at it, there is a certain dynamism within him, a certain strength within, the strength within, or the fire within, that it seems like anytime he can spring up into action. Now, you might be wondering what this card is. This is the card of the previous. This is the previous card, which is the Empress. Now, the reason why I put her beside him is for several reasons. Now, so as we see, the Major Arcana is the journey of the Fool. The Fool met the Empress, which shows abundance, the motherhood. She is the sign of being a mother. He is the sign of being a father. So the Fool encountered first the mother, which is very nice. Usually when we are born, the first one we are in touch with physically is our mother, because we are in the womb of our mother, and then we get in touch and get to slowly learn and develop relationship with our father. So it's like that. It's beautiful because you see a big contrast between them. The contrast between the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. The feminine, when you look at the throne of the queen, there are a lot of cushions. The king, very austere, no cushions, no cushions. The queen is in a very comfortable gown. The king has an armor inside his scepter. The queen shows youth, young. The king seems much older than the queen. But as you see, she is well provided for, so it seems that the king is nearby. This river goes to the king, but the contrast is the river here is very, very full. Here it dwindled a little, so she's more expressive. He is less expressive of his emotions. There's productive. I mean, there's abundance. The fecundity. The card shows fecundity. Here is a little barren. A little firm, a little strong. So here it's more of stability. This one is more of productivity. A little bit less expressive. Somehow it's like in the emotions also. Here the emotions, you do not see the abundance of emotions. Here is a little bit less expressive. This is white, shows purity, more of white with little signs of fecundity. This one is red, more of power, dynamism, and everything. When you look at it here also, the sign of Venus, the sign of Aries. Now, why am I putting them into contrast, the yin and the yang? I think there is an invitation. Whoever is reading this card right now, there must be an invitation for you to find a middle ground between these two poles. If, for example, this is the South Pole and the North Pole, you have to find somewhere near the equator, a certain balance between the two of them. Why is there a need to have this one? The king somehow needs the characteristics of the queen so that he can feel full. And the queen also needs the protective characteristic of the king so that she can also feel safe and complete. So somehow these two complement each other. Now, here lies a difference. So if you remain only in one side and you lack the characteristic of the king, there might be a tendency for you to be codependent. You might need somebody with very strong masculine characteristics to fill up what is lacking in your feminine side. Now, remember, these are not physical men and women. These are energies. So if you are more feminine in your energy, if you are not careful, you might fall into a codependent relationship because you need somebody with a very strong masculine energy to fill up what is lacking in your very strong feminine energy. At the same time, if you are the emperor, you have a very strong masculine energy. If you are not careful, you might fall into a codependent relationship wherein you will be dependent on another person who is very, very feminine to fill up what is lacking in your masculine relationship. Now, the invitation, I feel that the invitation for us right now is to attain some characteristics, like for example, now that we are in the king or the emperors, the card of the emperor, you see there is something lacking here. There is a need to be more expressive, the need to be more warm, more loving. No, so there might be a need for you to develop some characteristics of the empress at this present time. So, for example, if you are less expressive, no, then maybe you should go to activities where you'll be able to express yourself a little bit more. Maybe you can go into the arts, like music, playing the music, painting, writing. No, somehow it will help to develop your feminine expressive side to be less rigid. No, at the same time, if you are a very feminine person, maybe you can develop to make you less vulnerable. Maybe you can develop activities that would allow you to have some boundaries, learning to say no. So maybe you can attain some activities where you can have some leadership roles, some roles as a managing role in a certain group. You take responsibilities like that of an emperor. You manage, you protect, you take care of things. The maternal part, yes, that is that, and which is part of the maternal part, taking care of things. But I mean, learning to say no, learning to realize that you have to put some boundaries, like the king. He has a lot of boundaries. So maybe if you are too open to you're an empathic and you are too open, maybe you can learn from the king by learning to create boundaries to protect yourself. And so there's a need for certain balances. Maybe also you can undergo certain masculine activities like works, like hobbies that would make you use your hands, like pottery, maybe even making certain activities that will make use of your hand, like gardening also. These are things that you can, where you go out and get in touch with things in a more physical way. A little bit requires a little bit of manly activity. So there are some ways that you can do. So I feel that the invitation is for us to have this certain balance, because if you just look at the card of the king, so there might be whoever is might be resonating at this card right now, wherein there seems to be a barrenness in your life and everything like that. Maybe there are things that you need to work on your life, that maybe you are too masculine to the point that your life starts to become a little less colorful. Maybe for some of you, you're already getting bored of all these things, that there's a longing. Sometimes maybe the longing for a partner is actually a longing to experience some more of the feminine side, maybe to find a certain balance. So somehow when you look at it, no, so if the Empress teaches us to have a certain journey within, the balance between the journey within and the journey outside, and the balance between the black and the white, no, somehow here also there's an invitation. This one is an indirect one. The picture shows what is lacking when you look in contrast to this one, no. Here also, when you look at it in contrast to this one, you see also what is lacking, no. She might be so open, she lacks boundaries. He might be so strong and a lot of boundaries that he is less expressive already, no. So this one is a little bit too much of the boundaries, a little less of reaching, being productive, being giving, no. So somehow there is an invitation for a certain balance. You see, there is no wheat here, no vegetation at all, no, just firmness and everything, no. So this is the big contrast, yellow, red. So you see the big contrast between here. Now you look, the scepter, very feminine. This one is very masculine. Flowers, crown. Cushions, no cushions. Okay, pomegranates, skulls. Skin immediately, armor. Angelic face, very discerning face, a little bit more firmer, a little bit firmer. Amidst creation, here, amidst structure. There's another thing also here, no? You see here, she's amidst nature. This one is amidst all. It's like, reminds me of the the city where there are not much trees anymore. The mountains are replaced by high-rise buildings, no? Maybe there's a need for you if you are in that kind of environment where vegetation and nature is very few. Usually there are parks around, no, hidden within the city. Maybe there is a need for you also at this present time to go out every once in a while from a solid environment, a less natural environment with concrete and everything. Maybe there is a need for you also to go out and be more in touch with nature, like to go to a park, remove your shoes, feel the earth underneath your feet, breathe fresh air that is being emitted by the trees. No, I hope it's not yet polluted in that area. No, maybe here also there is an invitation for you to get more in touch with the beauty and abundance of creation. Here, no more sun. Maybe you need also to be exposed to the sun to get more vitamin D. No? Maybe you're already, before the sun rises, you're already in the office, and before the sun and after the sun sets, you're still in the office. You no longer get a chance to be exposed to the sun, and no more vitamin D. No? Some of you might already have vitamin D deficiency at this present time. Yeah, you need to, I think you need to go, there's a feeling that you need to go more into, and you need to be a little less rigid, no? You need to be a little bit more relaxed. Like, you observe when you sit in your office, are you having the posture of this king, or a more relaxed posture of the empress? Maybe you are a little bit more rigid in your life right now. You need to relax a little bit more, to be less suspicious, a little bit more open, and a little bit more trusting. He seems to be, yeah, a little bit rigid, and you look at his arms are dependent on the big throne that he's in. It's like he's more dependent on his bearing as a king. You know? Maybe you need to relax a little bit more, enjoy life a little bit more. Maybe yeah, you have a lot of armor, no? I don't know. Maybe you should also have, because I feel that the king, even without this armor, can protect himself. No? Yeah, this is a little bit hard. No, this part of the armor. I mean, the armor is very uncomfortable. Maybe you don't need to wear that armor always, but you should always be ready. I mean, if there's a need for you to bring up that distance, that protection, no, that boundary, I guess you should be able to have a certain openness, but at the same time not losing those boundaries. So something in the middle, maybe a little bit more expressive of your feelings. If it is difficult, you can express yourself indirectly through paintings, music, the arts, even drama. Sometimes when you do martial arts, also when you do the kata in the karate or certain exercises, these are expressions also, which allow you to at least exercise a little bit more of expressing your emotions. There's still a lot of things that you can learn from the king and the queen. It is good, I guess, to look at them into contrast. For those of you who are studying, no, it will give you a lot more insights. And actually, when you study these cards closely, you undergo your own spiritual journey inwards into your life. You get to reflect the important things in life. You get to see things that you have somehow overlooked in the past. No, that is why also this is a very good. Though reading one card a day is a very good exercise. It makes you really realize the need to reflect on things that you might have been overlooking in your present situation. Well, that's it for now. So we go now to part 2 of the number 4 card of the Major Arcana, which is the Emperor. We are now on part 2 of the 1 card spread series, and our card for today is number 4, the Emperor, which belongs to the Major Arcana. Let us now read from the booklet of Tarot of A.E. Waite from AGM Urania. The Emperor. We have divinatory meanings, warning, advice, and action. Okay, summary. Many people do not like this card. They find him harsh, aggressive, controlling. The lush forest of the Empress has changed to barren mountains, her soft couch to a grey throne, and the river that gushed behind her now becomes a thin stream, barely able to cut its way through the rocks. He seems uncaring, emotionless, dressed in a suit of armor underneath his imperial robes. He represents government, society, and sometimes a harsh father. And yet, so much of this looks at him from outside, a figure that looms over us and demands obedience. But if we can see ourselves as the Emperor, and women can do this as well as men, then he teaches us to defend our territory and our families, to set up structures so that life can continue. Sometimes the Emperor is exactly what we need to be. Divinatory meanings: power, authority, control. Social structures, government officials. The ability to defend something or to take a position of authority of authority can mean fatherhood. Warning, advice. His rigidity softens. He becomes more compassionate, but possibly weak. Difficulty exerting authority. Action. Take charge. Defend what is valuable to you. Well, that concludes our part 2 on the number 4 card of the Emperor of the Major Arcana. I hope that this video have resonated with some who have watched the video with the intention of considering the video as their card for the day. And for those who are watching the video with the intent of learning more about the tarot, I hope that this has been a fulfilling exercise for your intuition. Until next time, remain blessed.